Last thing what we discussed yesterday was about dihedral angle. Let me repeat that. See, if you have a single carbon or oxygen, any of the atom which has two bonds, at least two bonds, the angle swept with respect to the same carbon is what we call it as the bond angle. But if you have two carbons, front and back, and on the front carbon there is one molecule, on the back carbon there is one molecule or a group, then the angle swept between them is called dihedral angle. Okay, so the dihedral angle, usually ranges from 0 degrees to 180 degrees, and if it is coming back again it will become 0 degrees. So you can see A, then we have a carbon here, back carbon, then front carbon, and then B. So the dihedral angle, we need at least 4 groups. For an angle to bond angle to define, we require 3 groups. For dihedral angle, we require 4 groups. So the angle swept between those 4 groups is dihedral angle. Okay. And next important thing what we discussed, that if the dihedral angle is 0, which is what we generally see in eclipsed form. So when dihedral angle is 0, in that case, you can see CH3CH3's repulsion would be approximately 4 kilocalories per mole. And CH3 and H repulsion between the molecules is approximately 1.5 kilocalories per mole. And hydrogen-hydrogen van der Waal repulsions would be around 1 kilocalories per mole. When this is only when the theta is 0 degrees. Okay. Now, if the dihedral angle is around 60 degrees, then the CH3 repulsion is around 0.9, and CH3H and H repulsions are quite negligible. This is what we always consider. For our calculation, we always consider this. So please, I would suggest all of you to remember that what is the angle we are discussing. Okay. Next. Coming to the further understanding of each and every conformation, let me redefine the term strain. If you recall, I told you with respect to any molecule, if there is any energy increasing, right, due to the deformation, in case if there is any deformation, that is called as strain. Now, if the deformation is happening because of the closeness, correct, which means if the repulsions are happening between the species because of the closeness, we call them as van der Waals strain. And if the repulsion is happening because of two bond pairs, then that is called torsional strain. If within the angle there is any repulsion created, right, so this is change in angle. So change in bond angle within the bond angle, if there is any change, that would create angle strain. So there are three types of strains which we'll observe. Mostly torsional strain and angle strain are less contributing. Therefore, a strain energy is defined such a way, that the energy, overall potential energy of a strained molecule minus the energy of a non-strained molecule. Okay, the energy of a strained molecule versus the energy of a non-strained molecule gives us something called strain energy. Okay, give some space. If anybody has not written this, give space for 4 lines, but make sure you write this one. Strain energy is equal to energy of the strained molecule minus energy of the non-strained molecule. Now, generally, we can write conformers. We discussed the other day, we can write conformers as long as we have 4 different species connected with 3 sigma bonds like this. Now, here also you can see hydrogen, carbon, carbon, hydrogen. So that's how it is getting connected. So we can write the conformations for ethane. So we have written the conformations earlier also. This is the Sawhorse projection Sawhorse projection. So in the Sawhorse projection, you can see this is the van der Waal repulsion, because this is the repulsion which is happening at dihedral angle 0, because the dihedral angle here is 0. So I'll write it as dihedral angle DH is 0 degrees. Okay. There might be small amount of torsional strain. Torsional strain is between the bond pairs. Okay. Now, if you rotate this molecule or back carbon by 60 degrees, we would get this molecule, and what do we call it? This is the staggered form. So we are changing eclipsed form to staggered form. Okay. So this is a van der Waals strain. So we are releasing some amount of van der Waals strain during the rotation from eclipse towards staggered. How do we write the Newman projection for the same? If this is an eclipsed form, and let's say this is the front carbon and this is the back carbon, and on the back carbon there are 3 hydrogens, front carbon we have 3 hydrogens. So you can observe here we have hydrogen, 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 and hydrogen. This is how the conformation looks like. This is the Newman projection. Okay, and here the dihedral angle is 0 degrees, and we call this Newman projection Newman's projection is of eclipsed form. Now, if you watch this front carbon sharing with this back carbon, this time you can see the dihedral angle which it will make is 60 degrees. So this is the dihedral angle which is making 60 degrees. So rest all are hydrogens, because this is an ethane conformer, right? So this is the Newman projection, and it is the staggered form. Is the staggered form. Okay. So we will consider, when it comes to van der Waal interaction between hydrogen and hydrogen, in the staggered form we consider it as almost 0. So van der Waal strain is negligible. Okay. Torsional is anyway negligible, right? So these are not present in this. So I can say that staggered is almost the non-strained molecule, while eclipse is the most strained molecule in the case of ethane. So ethane has mainly 2 conformers, out of which staggered is the most stable conformer, right? So you can see that in the case of this Sawhorse projection, after the projection what we have drawn, we got 2 projections here, eclipsed form and staggered form. Suppose if at all I plot a graph between strain energy versus the dihedral angle, strain energy versus the dihedral angle, you can see first at 0 degrees, that is when the dihedral angle is 0 degrees, we have eclipsed form. This is the eclipsed form. From there, as we rotate 60 degrees, the energy has decreased and it has come to this point. Now, if you recall, we have learned that in case of 0 degrees, correct, between hydrogen and hydrogen, the repulsion is 1 kilocalories per mole. It is, you can see that if you just go back here, we have written it, between hydrogen and hydrogen, it is 1 kilocalories per mole. So here also, in the case of eclipsed, we have 1 kilocalories per mole here, and 1 kilocalories per mole here, and 1 kilocalories per mole here. Okay, which means on total, eclipsed would have 3 kilocalories per mole of potential energy. Correct? So this is kilocalories. Okay. And when it comes to staggered form, in staggered form, we do not consider either van der Waal or torsional. So potential energy is literally 0. Correct? So it is the least strained form of ethane. So I can say here it is 0 and here it is 3 calories per mole. Hence the difference in the eclipsed form and in staggered form would be approximately 3 calories per mole. Okay, and every 60 degrees if you rotate, see, once you get here in the staggered form, you rotate another 60 degrees, you will get eclipsed form. Rotate another 60 degrees, you will get staggered form. So from 0 to 360 degrees, if you make one complete rotation, the energy of the molecule will keep changing this way, from 3 to 0, again to 3, 0, 3, 0, and finally to 3. This is how the strain energy is appeared. Now this type of an graphical representation is called strain analysis. This is strain analysis. So we can say this is the strain analysis of ethane. Okay, everyone make a note of it. When you are watching from here, when you are watching from this end, right, it is like pyramid. If you have a pyramid this way, this is how the pyramid will be, right? But if you are watching from here, okay, forget about the front one. When you are watching this point, can you see these three appear like 120 degrees on a plane? From here, it is very much evident that the stability of ethane, if you see in terms of their conformations, it is uh, staggered, more stable than eclipsed. Let us come to N-propane, conformations of N-propane. So I can take any two carbons. So I'm considering the first carbon and second carbon. So this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon. And on the second carbon, instead of hydrogen, now we have a methyl group. Okay. Suppose if at all I start with this, sawhorse projection, which is staggered. So this is the sawhorse, which is in staggered form. And from here, if at all I start viewing, from here I'm starting to view this. Then this would become the front carbon, this would become the back carbon, correct? So you can see how it looks like. On the back carbon, we have methyl here, two hydrogens here, and on the front carbon, we have all three hydrogens. Okay. The dihedral angle here is 60 degrees. Sorry. And from here, if at all I start rotating by another 60 degrees, you can see these hydrogens will come close, these two will come close, here hydrogen, and back there is methyl. Here the dihedral angle is 0 degrees. Alright. Well, it could be 0 degrees or 120 degrees, 240 degrees, 360 degrees. It is one and the same, correct? Same way, if you rotate again another 60 degrees, we will get methane here, hydrogen here, hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. I'm not drawing the conformations on each and every angle. Now, understand this. In the case of eclipsed, in the case of, staggered, we have defined methyl and hydrogen bond energy. If you, repulsion energy, if you check it out, see, always try to bring this here. At 60 degrees, we only considered that CH3 and CH3 will have certain amount of potential difference or certain amount of repulsive forces. So therefore 0.9 kilocalories per mole of repulsion it will experience between methyl and methyl. But if it comes to methyl and hydrogen or hydrogen and hydrogen, we almost took it as negligible, right guys? But if you see here, methyl and hydrogen we consider it as 1.5, hydrogen and hydrogen we consider it as 1. Okay, so taking the data here, we can easily figure out that in case of this one, again the potential energy here is almost 0. Okay, because we are hardly considering any kind of repulsive forces between these two or these two, right? Now, in the case of dihedral angle being 0, methyl and hydrogen, we consider the energy here as 1.5 kilocalories. Hydrogen and hydrogen 1, and here 1. Okay, so total potential energy in case of eclipsed form is 1 plus 1 plus 1.5. So approximately how much we are getting? 3.5. So 3.5 kilocalories per mole is the energy difference that you will create between a staggered, between a eclipsed and a staggered form. Okay, see, once you again get back to this staggered form, so you are getting potential energy almost 0, which means you will only rotate between 3.5 to 0. So check out here. So if I start this analysis from here, from 0 degrees, it would be at 3.5, it would be at around 3.5, and from there it will become close to 0. From there again it will start increasing, decrease, increase, decrease, increase, right? So over 0 to 360 degrees, the difference in the energy between these two would be how much? 3.5 kilocalories. I think all of you understood that. So in the case of N-propane also, you will have only two conformers, and that would be staggered form and eclipsed form. So stability, in this case also, it is pretty much clear that it would be eclipsed form less stable than staggered form. Okay, everybody, right? Now that was about N-propane. See, the significant energy difference will only come when it is around 60 degrees beta. At around 45 degrees or 60 degrees, there is not much of a difference, understood? Alright, so the most stable will come at 60 degrees. So instead of taking 45 or 30, we will exactly take it the most stable form, and the most stable form is at 60 degrees. See, how did we define conformer? See, conformations are infinite. That is, at every different angle, we might get some small amount of energy difference. But significant energy difference, that is maxima and minima difference, will come only at 60 degrees. So we will count the one which is coming as minimum as conformer. Right. Let us see about N-butane. N-butane, we have two cases. One, if you see, this is N-butane. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So first, I want to make a conformation between 1 and 2, and then we'll make between 2 and 3. 3 and 4 is same as 1 and 2. Correct? So let us see the conformation between 1 and 2. So if this is the front carbon, carbon 1, it has 3 hydrogens, and this is the back carbon, second carbon, and it has 2 hydrogens, and this entire group is nothing but ethyl group. So I'll write it as ET. This is the ethyl group which you have. Okay. Now this is being converted, if this is the staggered form which I have taken, how does the staggered form look like here in the Newman projection? These 3 are hydrogens. This is the front carbon, this is the front carbon, this is the back carbon, this circle is the back carbon, and we have hydrogen, hydrogen, and ethyl. Okay, so here the dihedral angle is 60 degrees, and as you rotate another 60 degrees, right? So this hydrogen here, this ethyl here, and this hydrogen here. Then we will get the eclipsed form. So we'll have hydrogen and hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen, ethyl and H. Okay. So you rotate another 60 degrees, we will get ethyl here, rest all are hydrogens. So you can see this first one and the third one are exactly the same in terms of their energies. So this first, second and third, if you check out, first and third have same energy, and that is 0. Correct? Here also strain energy I'm taking approximately 0. Strain energy here also approximately 0. Now when it comes to ethyl and hydrogen repulsions, correct? Ethyl and hydrogen repulsion, it is around 1.6, approximately 1.6, and this is around 1. This is 1, Hydrogen and hydrogen is always 1. Here also it is 1. So strain energy, if you check out, it is around 1.6 plus 1 plus 1, which is 3.6 kilocalories per mole. Okay, so the difference between that first staggered form and an eclipsed form, if you observe, is approximately 3.6 kilocalories per mole. But the strain analysis graph will be exactly same for first three what we have drawn so far, which includes ethene, propane, and butane. In butane, it is about 1,2 carbon. Let us see the next analysis now. This is the most important analysis. Huh? Now let us see the conformations of butane with respect to second and third carbon. Okay. Now you can see this is the Sawhorse projection. Correct? How I'm starting the Sawhorse projection, observe it carefully. I can make Sawhorse in many different forms. This is the eclipsed form of Sawhorse projection, where this methyl on the second carbon and this methyl on this third carbon, they are head on. That's where I'm starting from. Okay. So if I put the Newman projection for this, can you see this is how it appears? This is methyl and methyl, hydrogen, 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 and hydrogen. Okay. From here, if at all I rotate 60 degrees with the back carbon, this back carbon, this back hydrogen, and this hydrogen, if at all I rotate by 60 degrees, then this methyl would come here, hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. Okay. Next, here if you check out between these two, again after rotating 60 degrees, you can see this hydrogen would come here, this methyl will come here, and this hydrogen will come here. So which means here we will have hydrogen, hydrogen, this would be methyl and hydrogen, and here I will have hydrogen and methyl. If you rotate for another 60 degrees, now this methyl and this methyl will be exactly opposite, rest of them will be hydrogens. Again, if I rotate another 60 degrees here, so which means this will go here, this will go here, and this will go here. So you can see here methyl would come, hydrogen, 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 methyl, and hydrogen. Rotate for another 60 degrees. This methyl, hydrogen, and hydrogen are same. This methyl would come here, hydrogen and hydrogen. This is how you will get. And once you rotate another 60 degrees, you will get back to this original form where you started. So on total, so you are rotating total of 360 degrees, which is one rotation. So when you make one complete rotation from taking the back carbon and make an dihedral angle of 360 degrees, you will get these many conformations, these many conformers. Okay. Now, what are all these conformers? If you let us go one by one and try to analyze the energies. The repulsions between methane and methane. Okay, the repulsions between methane and methane. Again, I'm going back to this analysis. If you keep forgetting, just check it out. Between methane and methane, it is 4. Methane and hydrogen, approximately 1.5. Hydrogen and hydrogen, 1. If it is methane and methane at a 60 degrees angle, it is 0.9. Okay. So coming back to that, methane and methane, here the energy is approximately 4. Here it is 1. Here it is 1. So you can see the strain energy here is approximately 6 calories per mole. Now if you observe here again, between methane and methane, it is 0.9. This is approximately 0.9. And here it is between methane and hydrogen, it is 0. It is 0 here and 0 here. So I'm not writing that. Correct. Now, when it comes to again eclipsed form, methane and hydrogen, it is approximately 1.5. This is 1 and this is 1. So how much we are getting? The strain energy here is approximately 3.5. Now from there, again we are coming here. Here methane and methane are completely opposite to each other. So here there is no strain energy. It is 0. Here it is 1.5. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. So strain energy is 4, correct. Okay. Now here strain energy is completely 0. And if you come here, again the strain energy is 4. And here if you check out, strain energy is 0.9. Okay. And coming back to 6. Correct. So from 6, almost it is going towards how much beta? 0. Correct. Up to 0 it is moving. So how does it go? Let's see now. Highest energy is for this one. Highest energy is for this one. Everybody can make it out, right? So I'll start from this point. From here, then it is coming back to 0.9. Let's say this is 0.9. From 0.9, again it is raising to 4. From 4, it is coming back to 0, raising to 4 again, to 0.9, and finally coming back to 6. I hope all of you are able to make this out. Yeah. So there are different energy conformations which you are getting. So we will name one by one all of them. Okay. The first one, which has huge amount of repulsions, that is always called as fully eclipsed. So this is an eclipsed form. This is called fully eclipsed. The second form, where it is a staggered but still it has carrying some amount of energy, this is called gauche form. G-A-U-C-H-E, gauche. Okay. Any angle between 0 to 59, if you have from 1 to 59, any angle if you draw, they are always called as skew conformations. These are all skew conformations. And if the minimum amount of energy is there in the skew conformation, that is called as gauche. So a lot of books replace this with gauche also with skew. So understand it is almost the same, except gauche has minimum amount of energy. Next form here, if you check out, this is also eclipsed, but it is not as much eclipsed as this one. This is called partially eclipsed. Partially eclipsed. The next one, it has two methyls completely opposite to each other, creating a minimum amount of repulsions, that is called as anti-repulsions or anti-conformations. Next one is again you are getting to the partial eclipsed form. Partial eclipsed form. And after that, again you are getting to gauche form. Then you are getting back to gauche form. And finally you will get fully eclipsed. So if you have noticed, check again, we will have one fully eclipsed and one anti always within one complete rotation. But we will have two gauche and two partial eclipsed in one complete rotation. Partially and fully eclipsed, if you see, the energy is maximum in fully eclipsed because methane and methane are methyl groups are almost head on to each other. While here, this methane and this methane are not head on, methane and hydrogens are head on. Usually we use the word skew as a generic word which is between 1 degrees to 59 degrees. Understood? Suppose if you have any conformation defined between 0 to 60 degrees, okay, just I'll write it as a note here. Gauche is closest of skew to give minimum repulsions with angle, and the theta is equal to 60 degrees. Okay, beta? I hope now you got it. Now, a simple question. This was asked in JEE. Suppose if a conformation, if a butane, N-butane molecule, is it around room temperature? Okay, at around 25 degrees centigrade. Everybody keep listening properly. Now, what do you think this N-butane will try to exist in which conform? Because anti is the most stable. So it will try to spend mostly on the anti form, correct? Okay. So basically it might keep rotating to the other conformations also, but most of the time it will spend in the anti form. Okay, but if you increase temperature, what would happen? If you increase temperature, the vibrations will increase, the energy, it will get more energy to rotate, so it will start rotating more and more. So what would happen? Instead of just spending the time in anti, it will start spending time at almost all the types of conformations. Is this clear, everybody? Okay, so the time spent on anti will start decreasing and time spent on other conformations will start increasing. Is everybody clear on that? Not that the time spent would be more than anti, but slowly the time spent on other conformations will start increasing. Okay, now everyone observe closely. When it comes to anti, correct, there is a methyl here, there is a methyl here, both of them are opposite to each other, completely opposite to each other. So overall the dipole moment in anti will always come out to be zero or not. In generally the anti will have zero dipole moment. Okay, if you have a different groups, imagine instead of methyl I have some OH group, okay, or some halide groups, then instead of this methyl, if there is any halide group, because they are completely opposite to each other, their dipole moment would be zero. So at lower temperature, can I say that at lower temperature, since the molecule want to always spend in the anti position, anti form, the dipole moment will be zero. But as you increase temperature, what would happen? Molecule will start spending in other conformations also, so the overall dipole might start increasing. Okay, so that I'm making it as a note here. Okay, so just keep it as a note here, then we'll start solving the questions, you'll be able to understand better. Okay, so on increasing temperature reduces and overall dipole moment, of molecule generally increases. So just remember this important statement. It will be helpful during problem solving. Okay, so I guess all of you made a note on that. Another important note is that in a staggered form, we would hardly consider torsional strain. Okay, it would be between any of the molecules we do not consider. So which means this is also asked as a question in JEE, which of the following types will have what kind of a repulsions. Anti will definitely have van der Waals repulsions, we will consider. Gauche also we will consider, you know, partially eclipsed or fully eclipsed also we consider. Okay, torsional strain is not considered here, not considered here. Okay, when you have fully partially eclipsed, yes, we will consider. When you have fully eclipsed, we will consider. Okay, so in generally we will see fully eclipsed will have maximum repulsion, then partially eclipsed, then gauche, then anti when it comes to van der Waals repulsion. In case of torsion also same thing, fully eclipsed will have maximum repulsion, then partially eclipsed, then gauche, then anti. Okay, here it is, you might see only, sir, this is just the bond pairs, how much, how come they have different repulsions between fully eclipsed or partially eclipsed. Okay, here there is only about bond pairs, right? That repulsion should be almost the same, correct? Always van der Waals repulsion influences on the torsional repulsion. Remember this, van der Waals repulsions influence the torsional repulsions. So if van der Waals repulsions are more, relatively the torsional repulsions will always appear to be more. Okay, so just remember this, you do not have to analyze it. Okay, in generally the repulsions due to torsionals itself is very less, their contribution is very less. So even in the partially eclipsed or fully eclipsed, their contribution is very less. Okay, so if you come to anti and gauche, that will be even less. So that's why for all calculations we ignore it. In generally, if you have x and y, any of these groups here, check out CH2X and CH2Y, any of these two groups are present, we will always have four different conformations. One, if XY are closest of each other, then we will have fully eclipsed. This is fully eclipsed. Now, if they are at around 60 degrees, we call it as gauche. If they are away from each other at 120 degrees, we call it as partially eclipsed or partial eclipsed. And the last one, if they are opposite, we call it as anti. Okay, so these four would always exist. Now, how do we define a dipole moment? Okay, so we always say that the calculated dipole moment or the observed dipole moment will be sum of dipole moment I into xi, where xi is the mole fraction. Xi is the mole fraction of conformations. So, which means if you check out mu observed, it would be equal to G anti, x of anti and mu of anti plus x of fully eclipsed into mu of fully eclipsed plus x of partially eclipsed into mu of partially eclipsed plus x times of gauche and mu of gauche. This will be the total dipole moment that should be observed. Okay, but think about it, when it comes to fully eclipsed, what should be the mole fraction and partially eclipsed? Because molecule will maximum try to spend in anti form or somewhat in the gauche form. It would hardly spend the time in fully eclipsed and partially eclipsed. So we can say that we will hardly find any amount of partially eclipsed and fully eclipsed. So we can ignore the contribution or ignore the ignore the mole fraction because of partially eclipsed and fully eclipsed. So let me write down that usually contribution from partially eclipsed and fully eclipsed is negligible. So x of partially eclipsed and x of fully eclipsed is taken as 0. For our simple calculations, we'll always take it as 0. So therefore, what would happen here now? So mu observed will be equal to xa into mu a anti-form plus xg into mu g. Got it? And most cases, mu of anti-form is 0, no? Because they are opposite to each other. The dipole moment in the mu form will be 0. If you check out this x and y here, they may have least amount of dipole moment if they are different groups. If they are same group, definitely it will be 0. Everybody got this? Most of the cases, what we take. It may so happen in some case it may add up also. We will see those as a special cases. But in general cases, we will usually take mu as 0. In that case, the observed dipole moment will be equal to xg into mu g. Correct? So in most of the examples, at least in the JEE level which has been asked, you might have to use only this formula. Okay. So you would be asked, what is the absolute dipole moment in the gauche form if the observed dipole moment is maybe 1.2 dB units or something like that, and you would be given the mole fraction of all of them. So based on that, you calculate mole fraction of gauche form and then calculate what would be the mu of G. Got it? Everybody understood how to do the dipole moment? Otherwise, the most generic formula is this one. Let's see how it was asked in a JEE question. This was a previous IIT JEE question. He asked, first draw the conformations of dichloroethane. Next, if the observed dipole moment is 1 dB units and the mole fraction of the anti-form is 0.82. Check carefully. The mole fraction given is of anti-form. What will be the dipole moment of the gauche form? Also predict the net dipole moment on heating. What would happen if it is a net dipole moment on heating? Okay, everyone, check this question. So first I drew the conformations. So what is this conformation? This is fully eclipsed. This is gauche. This is partially eclipsed. This is antiform. And you can see the stability order also. If you see the stability order, anti will be more stable, then gauche, then partially eclipsed, then fully eclipsed. Right. Now, what would be the net dipole moment? The net dipole moment should be mu of anti into mole fraction of anti plus mu of gauche into mole fraction of gauche. Okay. Mu of Xc, see mu of fully eclipsed is almost 0 and mu of partially eclipsed is almost 0. That's why we are not because they have least contribution, we are taking their mole fractions or 0. So this will be the actual formula now. So which means mu of net will be equal to, okay, mu of G into X of G, because in this case it is dichloro na beta. So definitely I can say the mu here is 0 for sure, because both chlorines will be anti to each other. So one dipole moment would be acting in this direction, one dipole moment vector will be acting in this direction, so the resultant would be 0. So since this is 0, check out, since this part is 0 and this mu part is 0, I can ignore this also. In fact, this becomes 0. So mu net will be equal to mu of G into X of G. X as in mole fraction. And we know that mole fraction of anti plus mole fraction of G will be almost equal to 1, because the contribution from these two are 0. So this should be equal to 1. So the mole fraction of gauche would be equal to 1 minus mole fraction of anti, which is given as 0.82. Okay. So the mole fraction of gauche would be how much? 0.18. This will be the mole fraction of gauche. So therefore, mu of gauche will be equal to mu net divided by mole fraction of gauche. So which will be 1 divided by 0.18. So the net dipole moment would be approximately 5.56 dB units. That is how much is the dipole moment, which you will see it in gauche. In anti case, overall dipole moment in the anti conformer. Here dipole is created because of this hydrogen and carbon and chlorine upwards and back carbon and chlorine downwards. How they are aligned to each other? Anti-parallel. Anti-parallel, what will be the vector sum? 0. So you can see if temperature increases, what would happen? Time spent in anti decreases, time spent in rest of them will increase, which means dipole moment will increase. So eclipsed conformation starts contributing, hence net dipole moment will increase. Please make a note if you haven't made a note of it, all of you, just write the solution once. Try to draw the conformations of ethylene glycol. So I suppose all of you can do with me. Now this will be good practice for us. Please try this with me. So first I'll make 4 such circles. So this is the way I'll write the fully eclipsed form. Then it is partially eclipsed. Sorry, then this is gauche form. Then it is partially eclipsed. And then it is anti-form. Correct? Now let me show you the groups also. So here starting with OH and OH, here we have hydrogen and hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen. Here we have OH and OH. Here we have hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. OH and H, H, OH, H and H. OH and OH, H and H, H and H. The interesting part here is that when you have, see, when you have this OH and OH at the fully eclipsed form, the size of OH, see, oxygen is, imagine like this. This is the carbon, sorry, this is the carbon, front carbon, this is the back carbon. So this has oxygen and hydrogen on it. This also has oxygen and hydrogen on it. So this molecule, electron cloud here and this electron cloud here, correct? If you compare with their hydrogen bonding, because you can see that they should show some amount of hydrogen bonding. Problem is the cloud repulsion would be more, so it is not going to make good hydrogen bonding here. Okay, so in the case of fully eclipsed, because they are very close to each other, their clouds are so close that it becomes difficult for them to make hydrogen bonding. So the repulsion will dominate over their hydrogen bonding. Okay, that's why we do not see any hydrogen bonding happening in fully eclipsed case, or in fact in any eclipsed case. But in the gauche form, now the repulsion has reduced because they are far away. So now the hydrogen bonding will dominate. So in the gauche form, you will see hydrogen bonding dominates here. So you will see intra-H bonding. So because of this intra-H bonding developed in the gauche form, now if you observe the stability, gauche becomes very, very stable as compared to that of anti also, then partially eclipsed, and the least stable still would be fully eclipsed. But this is more valid in the case of gaseous state. This is more valid in the case of gaseous state. But what happens in solvent like water? If you have an polar solvent like water, now what would happen? See, in polar solvent like water, if I take any one of the conformation, let's say I take this anti-conformation. Okay, just for the sake of explanation, I'm taking same. Suppose if I take these two, check out, and there is water all around. This is in the solution. If there is water all around, then this hydrogen will make hydrogen bonding with the water. This oxygen will make hydrogen bonding with the water, present here. This hydrogen will also make hydrogen bonding. This oxygen will also make hydrogen bonding like this. Same thing will happen here with this hydrogen making hydrogen bonding, this oxygen making hydrogen bonding, correct? Which means the entire solvent will make hydrogen bonding with all the forms. So hydrogen bonding is observed in all the forms, not just in gauche form or anti-form, eclipsed form. In all the forms, hydrogen bonding has been found. And that intermolecular hydrogen bonding will dominate over that intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Got it? So here, now the stability order does not depend upon the intramolecular hydrogen bonding. It depends only on the repulsions. So which will have the least repulsions. So which has the least repulsions out of all of these four? Anti will have the least repulsions. Yes, but so therefore, now the stability criteria only depends upon the repulsion. Hence, anti would be more stable than gauche, then partially eclipsed, then fully eclipsed. So you have to be very, very, very careful in the exam whether he asked in gaseous state, whether it is asked in aqueous solution. In aqueous solution, it will only depend upon the stability based upon their van der Waals repulsions. In gaseous state, in case if there is a hydrogen bonding, then gauche will dominate over anti. Okay. See the next question now. Which will have greater dipole moment? It is 1,2-dichloroethane or glycol. Okay. Now, if this was asked, alright, when it comes to 1,2-dichloroethane, okay, 1,2-dichloroethane as in, if you check out structure wise, alright, chloro and chloro, hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen, like this. 1,2-dichloroethane. And glycol. Glycol as in we have OH and OH, okay, hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. So this is glycol. So if you compare these two, right, in both gaseous state, if you are comparing that in gaseous state, which one will have most? See, problem is in gaseous state, glycol will have hydrogen bonding, intra-H bonding, and intra-H bonding is very dominant factor. So most of the mole fraction for glycol would be uh, because of gauche form only. So let me write down that in glycol, you can say that mole fraction of gauche will be very dominant as compared to mole fraction of anti, as compared to mole fraction of partially eclipsed or fully eclipsed, which is almost zero. Okay, so the mole fraction in the gauche is very dominant, which means most of the form will be in the gauche form only. Correct. When it comes to in case of 1,2-dichloroethane, it will have anti form more dominant. But if you see the observed dipole moment, correct, because the gauche will have most here, you can see how does the dipole moment vary. Show you here. So we will have OH and OH here, H, H and H here. But in the case of 1,2-dichloro, you can see one chlorine would be here, one chlorine is here, hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. So this is the most contributing. In case of 1,chlorodiethane, this is the most contributing. In case of glycol, this is the most contributing. So it is pretty much evident that the dipole moment of glycol net will be much greater than dipole moment of 1,2-dichloroethane. Now, in generally, when you consider uh, a molecule which has OH group, okay, whether there is a hydrogen bonding that is happening in the Gauss position or not depends upon what is this Z group. If the Z group is OH, fluorine, NH2, CHO, COOH, COOR, all of them can make hydrogen bonding in the Gauss form. So in gaseous state, their Gauss form will be more stable as compared to that of anti-form, partially eclipsed and fully eclipsed. So everyone, please make sure that you know in which cases how the stability is varying. Okay, make a note of that and make a note of this entire groups. OH, fluorine, NH2, CHO, COOH, esters. In all of these cases, instead of OH, now instead of this OH, if we have some ammonium salt like NH3 plus, now also if the Z is fluorine, fluorine, bromine, OH, OMe, all of these groups, then you can see there is a positive charge here and there is high delta negative charge in all of these groups. So in that case, they will have attraction because of ion dipole attraction. I hope you might have learned about what is ion dipole. Ion dipole means if you have an ionic molecule like Na plus and then we have HCl. Okay, I'll write the structure this way, Cl and H. Okay, originally imagine if HCl was far away and if it has a dipole moment, negative, positive, and let us imagine the dipole moment for this is 0.8 dB units. Okay, now as this HCl will start coming close to Na plus, the dipole moment, that means between them, the dipole moment will start increasing further because this positive charge will induces, right, or helps this chlorine to attain more amount of negative charge so that this will also have strong attraction. So the dipole moment from 0.9, 0.8 will maybe shoot up to almost 1.2 dB units. Why? Because this will also start having attraction. This is called induced ion dipole attraction. Everybody understood that? Okay. So same way, if there is any delta negative group which is coming close to NH3 plus, even that would have a strong attraction. So in all the gauche forms, if you check it out, if any of these group is present in the gauche form with NH3 plus, they will also be having stronger ion dipole attractions. So therefore, we can say stability of gauche form for this is greater than anti, then partially eclipsed, then fully eclipsed. If you have to draw the conformation from 3,3-dimethyl pentane, okay, by structure, this is carbon having methyl, you know, this is 5 carbon, which is pentane, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the third carbon, we have 2 methyl group. So I'm taking this as the second carbon, second and third. Sorry. And on the third carbon, we have this as the ethyl group and 2 methyl groups. This is how they are connected with each other. On second carbon, I have only 2 hydrogens and 1 methyl group. This is how it is connected. Now, if you observe what all the conformations I have added, I have started with anti form here. So where you have this methyl and this methyl opposite to each other, and these with respect to hydrogens and ethyl, they are opposite. So I made few conformations like this. Okay, you can write it down later slowly. I just want to show how we have to discuss this stability. Now unless we have the data, it becomes difficult for us to analyze. But what we can say, check out of all these conformations, if you consider the stability of 1, 3 and 5, these 3 are staggered. So this is staggered form and staggered form, and these 3 are eclipsed form and eclipsed form. Okay, so out of that, I can say that these 3 staggered forms would be more stable than these 3 eclipsed forms. So first we can analyze stability on the basis of only staggered, which is 1, 3, 5, definitely more stable than, okay, 2, 4 and 6. This is first thing we can check it out. Next, if you see the fifth one, check out the fifth one. Ethyl and methyl are opposite to each other because ethyl is more bulkier, and that is opposite to methyl group. So this means this is the most anti form you can imagine. So this is the most anti form, which is not there in the case of these 2 staggered forms. All right. So I can definitely say that between 1, 3 and 5 is more stable than 1 and 3. Check out 1 and 3 structure, it is almost the same, because the repulsions here are between methyl and ethyl. Here also it is between methyl and ethyl. Methyl same repulsions, methyl same repulsions. Correct? Then between 4, 5 and 6, if you compare, when ethyl and methyl are closest to each other, that will have the least amount of repulsions. Correct? So most amount of repulsions. So therefore, this 6 will be having maximum, right? So this will have maximum repulsion. So stability would be minimum. Now between 4 and 2, if you check out between 4 and 2 here, correct? Here we have ethyl and methyl repulsion, correct? And here we have methyl and methyl repulsions. So which will have more repulsions here, correct? If you see the second one will have more repulsions. So therefore, what should be the answer here? Correct. So then we should have 4 more stable than 2, then more stable than 6. So without data, suppose if data is not given, got it? Only you have to draw the conformations and check it out. Then you might be given structures like this. In options, you will get these structures. maybe four particular options. Then this is how you will analyze and check out and identify the stability. Okay, guys. Right. Sorry. No. Both of them are same only. No. In sixth, I have taken one extra ethyl group. Correct. This is actually ethyl and methyl here. Yeah, both of them are same. So this is same. So 5 greater than 1 and 3 are same. Then 4, then 2 and 6. Clear on that, everybody? Please make a note later. Just leave some space here if you haven't drew these structures. Sorry. Check this next question. Suppose if you have two COOH groups like acid, and if you have to analyze at pH 2 and pH 12, what would happen? See, I can say that with pH 2, which means it is highly acidic solution, so the dissociation of this acid would be least. So which means this would exist as CH2, CH2, COOH and COOH. Most of this will be undissociated form only. So if I draw the conformation for the same, we will have C double bond O, O and H like this, and C double bond O, OH like this. Rest all are hydrogens this way. And we can have hydrogen bonding here. Alright. So hydrogen bonding will be observed in the gauche form. So H bonding is observed in gauche form. But at pH 12, with pH is equal to 12, now what happens? This acid, because pH 12 is a basic solution, so this acid will get completely dissociated and you will get CO minus. Now CO minus does not have any hydrogen on both of them. So in that case, gauche will not have any attractive forces or any hydrogen bonding. So the most stable conformer which I have to keep out for this is anti-form only. This is the form which I can keep. That's it. So therefore what we can say now, when pH is 2, the stability order would be gauche greater than anti, then partially eclipsed, then fully eclipsed. But at pH is equal to 12, now the stability order would be anti greater than gauche, greater than partially eclipsed, greater than fully eclipsed. Very important. Now check the next one here. In this case, if you have, we just discussed this, if you have NH3 plus, one thing we have seen that CH2, NH3 plus and CH2X, any X, there will be an attraction here due to induced ion dipole attraction, and gauche will be more stable. But instead of these hydrogens, if there are methyl groups, so this is becoming very bulky, right? Although it has a charge, it is becoming very bulky. So with small ions like fluorine, it would still gauche be more dominant. So therefore, gauche will be more dominant than anti, then partially eclipsed, then fully eclipsed. But if this X becomes bulkier, this is also bulkier, then in gauche, it will have more repulsions. Correct? So anti-form would be more dominant here. So anti would be more dominant than gauche, then partially eclipsed, then fully eclipsed. Okay, special cases, make a note. Now check this. In the case of cyclic, first of all, we need to learn something called angle strings. Okay. Now, if these cyclic groups are planar, okay, considering planar, if there are planar, what is the expected angle is always, because all of them are sp3, expected angle is 109 degrees 28 minutes. Even if you take cyclopropane, cyclobutane, cyclopentane or cyclohexane, all the carbons are sp3 hybridized. Since they are sp3 hybridized, expected angle is always 109 degrees 28 minutes. But the actual angle, if you consider all of them are planar, then it is 60 degrees, 90 degrees, this is around 108 degrees, and here this is not 120 degrees. If you take this non-planar form of cyclohexane, when you take non-planar form of cyclohexane, the angle it makes is around 109 degrees. Okay, so if you consider the angle in all these different forms, got it, then it would come approximately as 109 degrees. What is a bond strain? Bond strain is the difference in these angles. Sorry, the difference in these angles. So how much is the difference here? The difference is approximately 49 degrees 28 minutes. Here it is around 19 degrees 28 minutes. Here it is 1 degree 28 minutes, and here there is around 28 minutes. Small amount of bond strain is seen in cyclohexane. Okay, got it? So in case if the cyclohexane is planar, the bond angle should be 120, because you know that in hexagon the bond angle would be 120. Right? So, but if it is not in planar and it is in some non-planar form, it can bring it bond angle to 109 degrees, and a small amount of bond strain will be there. Okay, so how does cyclohexane try to release their bond strain? It won't be planar. It will start moving around, in non-planar forms, so that its bond angle comes to 109 degrees. And this process of being in non-planar is called flipping. This is called flipping. And while flipping, it will go through various conformations. Got it? In the case of cyclopropane, it cannot make that type of a flipping. Hence, cyclopropane will always be planar. There won't be any kind of a flipping which is observed. Got it? Okay. Now, when it comes to cyclopropane, it is like a forced eclipsed form, which means it can only exist in this eclipsed form. It cannot flip like this, which means you cannot expect that cyclopropane can be, something like this way or this way. You cannot expect that to happen. All of them, if this cyclopropane is, if this triangle is coming out of the plane, then these two all will be on the plane above and below. Okay, the hydrogens would be above and below in this case. So cyclopropane always remain in a forced eclipsed form, and it is always planar. Now when it comes to cyclobutane, let us observe about cyclobutane. In the case of cyclobutane, it will start flipping. It will start flipping. Out of these four, it will start flipping like this, and it will start becoming a molecule this way. You're aware of boomerang? Think more like boomerang. Okay, so it will start flipping into this form. So instead of being planar, it will start changing into this shape to this shape, and again to planar, and it will keep moving between these two. So these two will always be in equilibrium. Got it? And this type of a flipping is called puckering. And puckering happens only in cyclobutane. Got it? So this flipping process is called puckering. It is called puckering because of this shape. Okay, got it? So pucker comes from that shape which we use as a peck on guitar. The guitar, when we use that, would have a similar shape as well. So that's called puckering. And angle strain will increase in increases in puckering But coming out of force eclipsed increases stability, which means if at all, if you see all the groups here, suppose if it is planar this way, if it is planar, then all the groups would be like this. So which means they are all equally, which they are all eclipsed to each other. Any group which is present here, 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 they are all eclipsed to each other. You can see it from any side, they are all eclipsed to each other. And we learned that eclipsed conform is highly unstable conform. So what they will do, if they change it here, if they start making a puckering form here like this, say if it makes a puckering form here, then it will change here. So this would become like this. Here also it will become like this. Here it is up and down. Here it is up and down. So what happened? Now it has changed to gauche form. Can you see that? Now the bond angle between these two is 60 degrees. Here also between these two it is 60 degrees. I hope you guys understood that. So although it is getting a lot of strain on the bond angle, because in puckering the bond angle is coming almost to 60 degrees, correct? But it will take that strain just to come out of force eclipsed form. So this is a forced eclipsed form. So to come out of this and try to be more gauche or anti-form, okay, not anti-form is not possible, but mostly gauche form. So it will take that extra amount of strain, angle strain. Okay, everybody understood this? Now, when it comes to cyclopentane makes an envelope flipping. Envelope flipping as in, you know, this is like an envelope. You know how the envelope looks like, right? This is supposed to be cyclopentane, but these four are the corners of the envelope. And this is the one which we'll put on top, right? How do we put envelope beta? We'll have this rectangle and then we'll put this way, right? So imagine this envelope one is flipping up and down. Got it? So it will have a movement up and down like this. So when it does that, it will try to release that eclipsed form of it. So therefore, this will also have less amount of strain developed in it. Got it? So flipping in cyclopropane happens in an envelope. Now these three, imagine this 1, 2, 3, 4. These are on a plane. These four are on a plane, and this is moving up and down. This is not 90 beta, it is like this actually. How does the cyclopentane looks like this way, right? Got it? Yeah. And here it is making that flip above and below. Okay. Anyways, all these three, you know, you will not be asked in the course. Just you need a basic idea about whether they are in forced eclipsed form. You need to know the terminology, what is puckering, what is envelope flipping. That's all you need to know. Overall stability wise, if you observe, cyclohexane, which has the least amount of strain, will be the most stable one. Then comes to cycloheptane, and then comes cyclopentane, and then comes cyclobutane, and finally cyclopropane. So least stable is cyclopropane. Okay. Everyone make a note of this. Now the most important part of all of this is cyclohexane. So you can see how the cyclohexane will have the flipping. See, cyclohexane will always be more stable in this chair form. Chair form as in, how you can imagine, everybody look over here. Imagine cyclohexane as this way. First, obviously this is how the cyclohexane looks like. Okay. Now let me color the entire cyclohexane here. So this is the plane. Imagine if it is planar, cyclohexane is planar. This will be the cyclohexagon, or just simply an hexagon, how it looks like. Okay. Now think this carbon is coming up like this. So it's this side like this, in this way. Okay. So I'll made one more shade here. So it has come up now. So instead of being on that plane, it has come up. Same way, you can imagine this side, sorry, this side, it has come down. So you can see how the flipping is happening. So instead of being cyclohexane this way, planar, this hydrogen will come up and this hydrogen will go down. So now, if you observe, if I remove these two, how does the shape look like? It looks like a chair with the headrest, and this is the foot, a single foot. Imagine this. Everybody understood how it is forming? So cyclohexane, instead of staying in a planar form, it will adopt this chair form. Okay. So this chair could form on this side, or it could form a chair on this side also, like this also. So both sides the chair can form, which means this carbon can go up, this carbon can come down. So between these two chairs, we will get many conformers. And see how the process goes. If when you try to flip from one chair to the other, okay, the basic question that should always run in your mind, why are we doing flipping? You know, a cyclic molecule will flip to ensure maximum stability. So it will try to adopt the most stable form, and from there it will start flipping. Got it? So here you can see this is the chair form of cyclohexane. During the flipping, what would happen? First, this chair, see here, this one, which was as the footrest, has come up on this plane. So if it comes back onto this plane like this, got it? Then if you observe here, all of these are on one plane. This entire thing is in one plane. Okay, this is all in one plane, and headrest is still the same. So here the headrest is the same, except that foot has again come onto the same plane, like a recliner chair. Imagine like a recliner chair. You know how the recliner works, right? Right? Or even if you see the pushback chairs in Volvo buses, right? So when you want to sleep, what do? We'll suddenly open up the footrest and make it on the same plane. When you bring this kind of a chair, it is called half chair. This is half chair. Got it? And from this half chair, now what I'm doing, I'm trying to move this carbon up. Got it? Observe this, how we are doing it. So if you try to move this carbon up and this carbon down, so if at all I try to move this one up and this one down, got it? It looks like a flip. It looks like a flip here now. Got it? This kind of a conformation will come first, and this is called twisted boat. This is called twisted boat. And after twisted boat, if both of these will come up and all these four, okay, the ones which I'm highlighting, observe it. This carbon, this carbon, this carbon, and this carbon. Now, if all of them come on to the same plane, and this will come up and this will come up, it will look like a boat. Okay. So this carbon up, and all these four are coming on same plane. Then it will appear like a boat. So this is called a boat conformation. This is called a boat conformation. From boat, again, if at all, you know, this will, again, if at all I bring this down, this up and this down here, again it will become twisted. So this would become twisted boat. Twisted boat. So from twisted boat, again it will become half chair, and finally it will come back to chair. So from one chair, if it has to flip to the other chair, it has to go through half chair, twisted boat, again twisted boat, half chair, and finally chair. So one flip, you can see that one flip will have how many conformers? So the total number of conformers from all the conformations here is one chair. It is definitely one chair, and two twisted boats. Two twisted boats. One, why I'm saying only these two? The other half chair and boat are unstable forms. Chair and twisted boats are stable forms. So totally there are three conformers. You know what is conformers, right? Conformations are five. One, two, three, four. Sorry, four. So there are four conformations, out of which, if you see the entire conformations, what you get from chair to this chair, these two are same conformers. While twisted boat is also a conformer. Half chair and boat are unstable forms, so they are not considered as conformers. Okay. Now, your next question should be, sir, do we have to remember all these structures? Not necessary. All you need to know is these two chair forms. That when you flip one chair to the other chair, correct, you will go through a journey. That's all I'm showing it. Not that you have to remember all of this. Okay. But one thing you must know is the stability order. So which one will be the most stable form out of all of this? So if you check out the stability order here, chair is the most stable form, then twisted boat, then it is boat form, and finally half chair. Half chair is the most unstable form. That will have the more strain as compared to that of others. Now check out, this is how the potential energy graph will look like. Chair, the most stable form. From there, it will raise to half chair. Check out. This is what you're expecting. The shaded one is what you're expecting, but it will convert into this chair form. So from that chair form, first it will move on to half chair. Half chair is the highly unstable form. From there, it will convert into twisted boat. Check out how the twisted boat looks like, everyone. Okay, so that is the twisted boat. From twisted boat, again it will change to boat form. From boat form, again to twisted boat, again to half chair, and finally towards the twisted chair. I mean the final flipped chair. I guess you understood that. So let me write once again. Chair, from the graph it is clear. Chair is more stable than twisted boat. More stable than boat. More stable than half chair. Both of them are same energy, na? Got it? Which means from this journey towards the same chair, if you want to get the how many total number of conformers are coming in that entire journey. Right? So that would be one chair here to start with, and then you're getting two boats now to get back to the same. Okay, I want to discuss the last thing. So just give me another 5 minutes. Tomorrow we'll discuss all the questions regarding this. At least if I can define it now, it will be easier for you to do problem solving. Check. This is how the cyclohexane in the chair form looks like. So in the chair form, yes guys, check. In the chair form, what we will have, the groups would be aligned this way. And how do we need to make it out? Everyone. First, when you draw the chair, okay, always draw this way. First you make one line here, then another line from here, something like this. Okay, then try to mix both of these lines here, and then try to include both of these lines here this way. This is how you will make a chair. Right, so I hope now you know how to make the chair form. So, or you can just do slightly parallel up here and down here. This is also a chair. And if you want to do the chair on the other side, correct? So same thing, put this way, slightly up and down here. Got it? Down here and up here. So this way. Got it? This is the way to draw the chair. Now once you draw the chair, the next thing you got to do is show where exactly the hydrogens are. Now, on these two carbons, I'm starting with carbon 1. On the first carbon, first draw a line below this line. and exactly almost at around 120 degrees, make one more line above. And with carbon 1, now compare carbon 4. The line which you draw down here, make a parallel line above, and the one which you draw here, make a parallel line below. This is going above, make this line below. Same way, next, if this is below, the next two carbons have to have these two lines above, and the next two carbons must have these two lines below. Got it? So all of these lines which I have drawn here, now let me highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These 6 which we have drawn, right? These are axial forms. These are called axial forms. Okay, everyone. So these are all axial forms. Now the next color, suppose the ones which I have drawn here, see that these are called equatorial forms. These are equatorial forms. So you should understand the position which are axial, which are equatorial. So a chair conformer will always have axial form and an equatorial form. Got it? So axial form, let me denote that with this color as A, 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 and A. These are all axial to each other. And the next one, these are all equatorial to each other. E, 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 and E. Equatorial in a sense that it is almost parallel to equator. Axial as in axial of the earth, axis of the earth. Okay, parallel to the axis of the earth. So that's how it came into existence as axial and equatorial. So a chair form will have axial and equatorial form. Now what we have seen here, a chair is flipping from this part to another chair form, correct? What is the last chair form here? The last chair form, if you observe, correct? So it would be like this. This will go down and this will go up. This is the way chair will start flipping, correct? So from this chair to this chair, when it flips, what would happen to the respective axial and equatorial? That is what you have to check it down. So here, if you observe, now this axial part, the minute this one, if it has come up, correct, then the axial will become equatorial and the equatorial will become axial now. Got it? So again, let me color this time now. So all axial has become equatorial now. So these are all the equatorial parts of it. And all the equatorial parts, write on that, these are all equatorial. Okay. Now what happened? All the axial has become equatorial. All axial has become equatorial. And all the equatorial in the earlier chair, now they will become axial. When the ring flip happens. When the flip happens, this is the most important thing which you must learn. Now this has become all axial. Okay. Guys, so you guys can see that axial has become equatorial, equatorial has become axial on ring flipping. Okay. So for better understanding, I'm uploading a YouTube video also along with the class notes. Just go through that video to understand how the flipping happens, everybody. Okay. So a cyclohexane will have something called an axial side and an equatorial side. Okay. All the hydrogens which are lying on that axial side, those are called axial hydrogens, and equatorial forms, those are called equatorial hydrogens.